Welcome back to another episode of Not Another Podcast
Not another podcast.
with Tony and Dana. Episode 3. Here we go. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay. Can I complain about Apple for a second? I updated my phone and it changed my mom's name in my phone.
What did it come up as before?
I know this is weird, but I don't have my mom in my phone as mom. I have her in as her first and last name.
That is weird.
Why is
You know what you are? You're like one of those teenagers that don't respect their parents and they call them by their first name.
Okay, it's because, and I never refer to my mother by her first name, which is Rosanna.
Yeah.
I never, ever refer to her as
yeah.
that. But when I got my first cell phones, I had a thing where I had to have the first name and last name filled out.
Yeah, right.
I felt like I needed it. So when I would put everyone's name in my phone, I had to have their first name and last name. And my mom was no exception to that.
Okay, yeah.
What was I going to put? Mom and then her last name?
You could have just put mom.
I needed it. I needed it.
Oh, this is your own kind of.
Like, this is my own, like,
Yeah, right.
I was being anal about it.
Yeah.
So I've always had her in my phone as first and last name. And now, after updating my phone, when she calls her, I'm talking to her, it says mom.
But
And I never put that in, that she's my mom. So how does Apple know that she's my mom?
Apple knows everything.
That's weird. That feels like an invasion of privacy.
Oh, no, it totally is. And there's nowhere in there you put mom.
No, I haven't.
Not even, you know what? Maybe it reads, do you ever in your text message your mom say mom? Hey, mom, or whatever. Maybe it read your text
Oh my
messages
God.
and realized it's your mother.
That's invasion of privacy.
Yeah, you know it is.
What? Anyway, so that's my little rant about Apple predicting who people are in my phone.
You know, sometimes I'll get a phone call from somebody in my contacts, but for some reason, the first name starts with maybe. Maybe
How
John
does it know?
Smith?
Yeah,
Like,
how does it
maybe
know?
John Smith? I mean, what do you mean maybe John Smith?
Because they're not in your phone. So they're kind of guessing who they are based on
But I love
other
how it starts
factors.
with maybe. It's not like potential scam. It's like maybe John Smith?
What are your parents in your phone as?
Parents. My dad
Not
has
mom and dad.
no. Well, their house line is parents, but my dad's cell phone is dad cell.
It's not even just dad. It's dad.
No, I don't even know if I know how to spell my dad's name. Diodato. What? Like
What's your dad's name?
it's Diodato.
That is extremely Portuguese.
I think it's only Portuguese. I think it's so Portuguese. I don't think anyone's ever. I've never heard of somebody else with that first name.
I've never heard that name in my
My
life.
mom's got a normal first. Actually, my sister, she has a name I've never heard of either. It's Marivon.
I've never heard that name before.
Yeah.
It's a nice name though.
Yeah, but it sounds like my parents couldn't decide between Mary and
Yvonne.
Yeah, Yvonne, right?
true,
Yeah,
that's true.
So dad is doing like some sort of paperwork, and they're like, "Oh, what's your name?" And my dad will say it. They'll be like, how do you spell that?
Oh yeah, I would be free.
How
I'd be
many
like,
Q's and W's? I'm like, neither. It's Dodato.
oh, it's actually pretty simple to
Yeah,
to
it is.
spell.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Speaking of names, we got a question, and we've gotten this question. You've gotten this question a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
I wonder if you're ready to reveal the truth. Is Tony Stark your real name?
Prepare to be shocked, but it's not.
What?
My name isn't even Tony.
It's not even Tony. See, a lot of people, I think, assume that your name might be Anthony,
Yeah.
and you decided when you got in radio to
just-
shorten it
to
to Tony,
yeah.
but it's not even that.
No. My whole career from 2003 to 2010, I'd used my real name, right? And when I got to Halifax, they said, we need to change your name, the station I was working at, because it's too ethnic. Because my name is Roberto.
That's what they considered that ethnic?
Yeah.
Your name wasn't Diodato.
No. Is that 4 Q's or 3 W's?
Like your dad, you know? That's,
Yeah.
okay.
No, my real name's Roberto.
That's a pretty common name.
Common, but how many Robertos have you met in your life?
I mean, it's a European name.
It's a
for
European
sure.
name, yeah. So I went by Roberto my whole life. And then in 2010, I was working for a station and they said, we need to change your name because it's too ethnic, right? And at the time, to be honest, I was like, okay, I wanted the job.
You weren't offended by that?
It didn't bother me that much. I thought Roberto was a good name for on air because you never hear it.
What about Robbie? You never
No,
thought.
we're not doing that.
Why do you hate Robbie?
I don't know. It's just not me. I'm at the station. So there's a couple names that were bounced around. Tyson Kane was one name.
Tyson Kane.
Yeah. A friend of mine said, he's like, I don't know. I feel like that's someone who's coming to collect money.
You're not a Tyson. I can look at you and just be like, you're not a Tyson.
Me and the boss went out for dinner one day and he tried to convince me to go by Clark Kent. He wanted me to go by Clark Kent. And I practiced it out loud in the shower, and walking around the hotel room. And I kind of wanted to punch myself in the stomach. Like I felt like such kind of a douchebag saying it, like the way it was.
It feels douchey.
Yeah, it feels douchey.
I'm
And
gonna lie, so does Tony Stark a little bit though.
I called my boss at the time and I told him, hey, I've tried this name. It doesn't work for me. I don't feel right doing it. He's like, well, what name do you like? Iron Man was really big at the time. And I felt that other than
When
being
was this? Sorry, 2012?
2010.
2010,
This is
okay.
2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm like, how about Tony? How about Tony Stark? And then he's like, let me get back to you. And then the next day he called me. He said he brought it to the creative department and the creative department loved it. So we just picked up on that name and kind of ran with it. And other than the billionaire playboy philanthropist, we have a lot in common. Other than that.
Do you?
And, you know, when I left and went to another station, they loved it and they wanted to keep it. And Tony's just kind of become my nickname. And it's actually just, it is just my nickname. You know what I mean? And it's, if you see me on the street, you can call me Tony. It doesn't bother me at all. Even when I started at my last job where we worked together, they said, what do you want to be called in the halls? I'm like, just call me Tony to make it simple, right? So it's just kind of become my nickname.
I had to make that separation when we were working together. Like at home, you are Roberto.
Yeah.
Or, and then at work, you're Tony.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
And like, it's a miracle. I never mixed that up in the wrong moment and called you Roberto on the air.
Well, I know if you ever
which is
call me
surprising.
Roberto, I've done something stupid. I fucked up something and you're going to give me the business for it.
Calling you Tony at home feels weird. It feels wrong because even though that's how I met you,
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel like that's who you are to me. Like to me, you are Roberto. But in my phone,
I'm the same person. I'm the same person.
You are the
It's just
same
different.
person. But in my phone, you are still Tony Stark. That
You
will
might
never
want to
change.
Apple might make a change and make it like, you know, boyfriend.
Maybe your boyfriend?
Maybe boyfriend.
Maybe. Which name feels more you?
I think Roberto probably because that's who I am.
Going forward on this podcast, it is
still Tony.
still going to be with Tony and
Yeah,
Dana, not
I'm
with
still-
Roberto and Dana.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring. Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring.
No, it doesn't.
But if you see me and you message me or whatever, just Tony's fine.
yeah.
But not Tony with two N's. Somebody messaged me the other day with two N's. I'm like, I won't be standing for that. No, I'm sorry.
That sounds like Tunny.
Tonai. Tunny.
Tunny. Because
Tunny
Ton
pasture.
is TONN.
Yeah.
I believe.
So do you have any fake names? Let us know. Send us a message. You don't like that? Fake
That's
name?
too radio.
Yeah, no, I know.
way
That's
too
exactly why
radio.
I did it.
Okay. That's a joke, right?
Give us a call at 613.
I remember getting into radio. Everybody in radio school was like, I want a cool name. I want an on-air name, a stage name, right? And I was just like, I just want to be Dana.
Dana B.
Well, I was Dana B,
Yeah.
just with my last initial because I felt it sounded good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I never thought of changing my name. Dana's not really a common name. So I felt that it was like maybe a bit ear catching because it's not that common.
If you didn't want it to be that common, you should have spelled your name Dana.
That's how everybody spells it.
I thought everyone puts the Y in there.
No, that's considered the unpopular spelling.
Then you
is
should
with
go
the Y.
Dahna.
That's more like Donna. He's got the H in there, so you got to Dahana.
Don. Oh yeah, you
gotta do
made the right
H.
decision.
You got to do the H.
But you know, you'd be surprised how many people have fake names in radio. A lot.
I bet most
lot.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sisters call you Berto.
And it annoys me. That's why we're not on speaking terms.
I call you Berto sometimes.
Burro. What? You call me?
Berto?
Yeah.
What about Bert?
No. What is this?
Like you're on Sesame Street.
No. I'd rather be, if I'm anybody on Sesame Street, I'm Oscar.
You are.
You know what I mean? Did they tell you in radio school that you couldn't come up with a new name? You had to use your own name?
They actually discouraged it. So everybody wanted one, but our professors were like, honestly, it's a little old school.
Yeah.
And it kind of ages you in a way. Like
Yeah.
it's just a very old school radio thing to do. And that's
Yeah.
not the direction that you might want to go in.
Well, for a long time, radio used to have, they have DJs that were like, it's the sheriff in the afternoon. Like they have like titles, you know?
Sheriff?
Yeah. You're inside a 40-minute dance-a-thon with the deputy.
The deputy?
Howdy, partner.
What?
Yee-hoo!
You are literally on the radio. You do not, you should not be a deputy. Whatever is the opposite of that. It's so cheesy, right?
But it was a product of its time.
Do you know what I have for you next?
Huh.
I have the exact age your unhealthy bad habits catch up with you. And I read this today and it threw me through a loop.
Why? Have you already passed that age? Have we all passed that age? Okay, we'll hear that after our newest sponsor, Broken shoelaces. What the hell am I going to do with you? No, it's not a good sponsor.
Yeah, see, we don't have real sponsors.
So we got to make up fake
have
stuff.
to make them up.
Yeah.
Today's show brought to you by Brooms. Why not just get a vacuum? You know?
When your broom sucks, get a vacuum.
I
can tell why I'm out of a job.
That is so bad. Okay, what is the age when your unhealthy bad habits catch up with you? I'm actually at that age now.
36?
Good job. I'm glad.
Are you 36?
I'm glad you remember your girlfriend's age.
Are
Well
you
done.
really 36?
Well done. Do we have an applause? Do we have an applause button?
No, do you have an exchange sound? I might have to exchange it for something new.
I am 36.
What? It's a joke.
There's a little bit of truth to every joke.
You know who says that? Paranoid people, okay?
Yes, I'm 36. And that is the age you reach when your unhealthy bad habits finally start catching up to you. So they say, you can do a lot in your 20s. You can make a lot of bad choices in your 20s because you're young, your body's really resilient.
Yeah.
In your 30s, it starts to get a little bit harder to stay in shape. Your metabolism starts to slow down again.
Yeah.
And then by your 40s,
Where I am
do
at.
you want to reveal your real age?
Yeah.
You have never revealed your real age.
Is this my confession this
Yeah,
episode?
it
Am I
is.
Usher right
but
now?
like, why? Why is it? Because you're fear of being judged for your age? You always said because in the business,
Yeah.
you were,
They wanted you young and single.
that you were afraid to get aged out of your position, working at like a top 40 radio station.
Right. Yeah.
Now you
I
don't.
didn't.
You don't work.
I didn't want to be the old guy on the new hot station. I'm 44.
which blows people away.
Yeah. People
Blows
think I'm
people
in
away.
my late teens.
No, okay, with that beard, no.
You're almost 50. By the way, going back to what you said,
You're entering the second half of your 40s, which is wild.
I feel like I'm entering the second half of my life.
Yeah, but 45 or 44, what you are now, is not our parents' 44. Everything has changed. Everything is different.
Yeah,
because of the lifestyles we live and people having kids at an older age or not having kids at all. Like, you stay younger longer.
You know, where's the thing that I noticed where I aged or what it caught up to me is your stomach. Because in your 20s, for most people, unless you have gluten intolerance or all that stuff, you have an iron stomach. But then when you hit your 30s come with a free pack of Tums. And it's just you and Tums from there on in.
Yeah. The age of 36, though, it's so specific. And that's because when scientists looked into this, they actually tracked the health of all these people until they were 61. And they found people who regularly smoked, drank alcohol, and lounged around, didn't exercise in their younger years, ended up sicker and more depressed. And on average, the health of those people started to decline at the age of 36, which is still very young. So that's kind of concerning, if you're somebody.
Do you feel it? You work out all the time, though.
Yeah, I do, but I have very unhealthy food habits.
Yeah.
And that is catching up to me now with my metabolism, and it's harder for me to keep weight off, and I gain it a lot easier. But I do feel like my knees starting to go, and like my back and all those things, right? Even though I exercise, I try to exercise as much as I can, right?
What gets better with age?
Wine?
No. I mean, like from a physical standpoint or just from a human standpoint, we always hear out you hit a specific age and you start to deteriorate. What gets better when you get older?
I think your personality.
Really? Have you ever talked to a senior citizen? Don't you usually just want to walk away after a while?
Not
You
the
know what I
mean
mean?
ones. Yeah, the mean
the
ones.
mean ones?
I can't answer that. We won't know until we get there.
We can't even figure out what gets better with age.
But I think movement is the single best thing. I was listening to a podcast the other day about how you lose a certain percentage of muscle every year after the age of 30.
Yeah.
And it's harder to get that back
Yep.
through exercise. It's not as easy. So you almost have to work twice as hard.
which
to
makes
gain
it,
that back.
Which makes it worse.
No, but you don't you don't have to.
No, you don't have to.
You're not trying to be a bodybuilder, right? You're just trying to be able to wipe your own ass when you're 80, right?
You're obsessed with wiping your own ass. You even say to me, because you're like, get off the couch. You always complain to me, like, go work out, go for a walk. You're like, because when we get 80, I don't want to wipe your ass.
Well, I'm
Who's
not.
asking you to wipe my ass? We have a
You
bidet.
will.
The bidet wipes my ass.
You won't even be able to reach behind you to turn the nozzle of the bidet if you don't work out.
That's why I put the nozzle in front of me so I don't have to reach back.
It's something I want to be mobile. I want you to be like mobile and be able to do things for yourself.
Yeah, totally.
When
I
you're
get
80
that.
years old.
My buddy John's a personal trainer,
trainer.
and he says the key is, he says motion is lotion.
It's so true.
Which sounds dirty. It does sound dirty. Doesn't it a little bit? Motion's lotion. Get a
It's
rash.
dirty. It would be lotion is motion, I feel like.
Lotion equals
for the motion.
better motion. Yeah, that actually the other way around sounds like more dirty.
But there's
yeah.
the use it or lose it. Don't use your muscles and move your body. You lose it.
Well, you
I
have
see
them.
that-
It just becomes harder to, get them to work at their optimum level, wherever age you're at.
I see that in my grandmother right now. My grandmother is 87, 90. She's old.
Ooh,
Can you
good
do
thing she doesn't listen to the podcast.
I'm sorry, Nanny. She had bypass surgery, heart bypass surgery, and she has never been the same because she did not go to the physical therapy. She did not do the work she needed to do to preserve her muscles and her health after the surgery. And now she can barely do anything for herself. It's very, very difficult for her to do anything for herself.
Are you worried that's what's going to happen to me?
A little bit.
What do you mean? You're talking like I'm like a hermit on the couch nonstop. We go for walks, pickleball,
is great.
all that stuff.
Yes, that's great. First of all, you hate going to pickleball. I force you to go.
Well, yeah, that's
To get
true.
the
Yes, you do
movement.
force me to go. It's not that I don't like pickleball, but every time we go, if there's a group of like 30 adults, there's always 2 kids or 3 kids in that group. And who gets teamed up with children to play pickleball? Me.
Once or twice, big deal.
Every time.
It's only one game.
And
They last 12 minutes.
I'm competitive. You know I'm competitive and I want to win, but it's hard to win with like an 8-year-old being like 7:33 and then out of bounds. Gonna be fine. Trust me, I'm gonna be fine.
You better have a bidet on every toilet in the house.
I have a bidet on
with the
every
switch
toilet,
right
every
up front.
sink.
You better get yourself an Acorn stair lift. You're gonna need it.
No, I don't have to climb the stairs. Is that what she says in the commercial?
Gosh,
don't know.
I can't wait. Cannot wait.
Okay, this morning I woke up and then I came down the stairs and you said, "Did you hear about the sperm race?"
The world's very first sperm race happened in LA.
Where else would it be but LA?
One student from USC going up against a guy from UCLA. And the footage they showed made me think it was just CGI and it was all staged because apparently sperm don't run, swim
They
in one
swim.
direction.
No, they go all over the place.
They go all over the
Yeah,
place.
right.
How do you think it happens? Fertilization.
Well, you buy her dinner first, and then you release, and they go everywhere. But then when they I'm probably wrong here, but I remember seeing this like video where it's like an egg and a whole bunch of them like attached to them, and they see who can get in. So
Only one fertilizes the egg.
only one.
Only one. But
That's
you know,
a reality
but
show.
That is a reality show. No,
Cream of the crop.
Gross. This is what I live with every day. Taught that the sperm, it's the fastest sperm, right? It's whichever sperm gets there the fastest.
yeah.
It's survival of the fittest because they have to go through this. It's a very inhospitable environment for sperm, right? So a lot of them get killed. So it isn't which sperm is the fastest. The egg actually chooses which one it lets in. So the egg has the final decision and it sends a signal out to attract certain types of sperm. And then it chooses the one sperm.
I wonder how they
And
decide.
then it chops the heads off all the others.
Oh, I wonder how it decides.
Must
Sperm.
be genetic and like which ones like genetically
Compatible?
compatible. Although you'd think they all have the same genetics, but I don't know we're not scientists. We don't know.
Do you ever think people who are listening to this be like, it's a lot more sperm talk than I thought
I was
I'd get."
expecting.
I was expecting some.
I was expecting
some.
more on episode 5. Maybe not
Yeah.
episode
Coming
3
soon.
though.
Yeah, maybe next episode. You want to answer some questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, sure. We have more.
Yeah, we got a couple. You sound surprised.
I'm always
What?
surprised when people
Who's
care.
listening?
I'm always surprised when people care.
Muffin tops or muffin bottoms?
Tops till I die. I
Muffin
always
tops.
take the muffin top off, eat the stump because it's the worst part.
To be honest, I don't like eating anything that's called stump.
But that's what it is.
No,
isn't
it is. It is.
Well, you could call it
Muffin
a bottom. It's the
I don't like
opposite
eating
of the-
bottom either. That's how you get pinworms. Favorite VPR star?
Oh gosh, it's probably Stassi Schroeder. I would have said Ariana, but like I just never liked her during the normal. I only liked her until
She was pretty boring up until what happened.
Scandival.
Yeah, she was pretty boring. Well, she
Exactly.
was cool. Like she was cool. She was one of the
cool.
guys, but she wasn't, I would say, somebody
She
that
wasn't entertaining.
she wasn't. Yeah,
But I actually do really like Kristen now. Kristen is made for reality TV. She
that's
is
not a
great
good thing. That's not necessarily
It's
a
good
good thing.
for viewers. It's good for viewers.
All right, this one comes from Shani Bobani. Get it? Shani Bobani.
Shani, Bobani, Fofani, Memani.
Yes, Mamani.
How does
That
it
is
go? How does it go?
Shani,
It's like
Bani,
Shani,
Fofani,
Fofani,
Mamani,
Bani,
Wana, Kokani, Beepa, Bobani.
Benny, Shani.
Okay, let's get to the question. What's your favorite date night spot in the city?
Oh, talking restaurants, right?
Yeah, well,
a lot of the times-
that's not necessarily.
But a lot of the times, date night, you go out to a nice meal.
Yeah.
Supply and demand
Yeah.
is very high on my list.
Mhm.
And would you say
Pelican seafood.
Pelican
grill.
seafood?
Yeah, it's pretty good. To answer it differently, I think the best date night in Ottawa, if you're going to go for a restaurant, just sit at the bar.
Mini golf. Oh, okay.
No, wherever you're going to eat, sit at the bar. Because I find that my best dates are when you sit at the bar. For some reason, sitting at the bar always makes it funner. And I
It
don't
feels
know
more
why.
social in a way.
Right. And it kind of feels more interactive because the bartender's right there. Some of our best dates, we're at the bar.
We're at the bar, yeah.
Right?
Better yet, sit at the bar in two different seats, pretend you don't know each other, and then hit on each other, and then act like you just met.
Is this an insight into our next date?
It's like a little role play.
You said you weren't into role play. You wouldn't wear that cape that one time. There's the latest edition of Not Another Podcast by Tony and Dana. Thank you so much for listening.
Wasn't my color.
You can follow us on our TikTok at Tony and Dana. Always hit us up on Instagram at Dana Breezy or at Tony Stark Radio, even though my name's Roberto. And
Yeah,
hit us
it's
up with
the
your
Not
questions.
Another Podcast with Tony, real name Roberto, and Dana.
It's too long. It doesn't fit on the business card.
It's too long. Now let's get to some royalty-free music.
Our headphones aren't on, so we
We
can't
don't have
tell.
headphones. We don't
can't
know if it's
tell if it's
playing.
on. It's like, oh, what a great jam.
Thanks for listening to another episode.